That is today's BBC News at 1. The news does continue here on BBC One, because now it is time to join our colleagues across the nations and the regions for a look at the news wherever you are. But from me and the 1 o'clock team, do have a very good afternoon.
Hello there, good afternoon. The First Minister and the SNP leader, Humza Yousaf, has announced his resignation. Pressure had been mounting on Mr Yousaf to step down after he ejected the Scottish Green Party from his power-sharing government at Holyrood last week. Since then, he'd failed to secure support for a minority government under his leadership and was facing 2 confidence votes. Our political correspondent, Andrew Kerr, has this report.
Mr Yousaf, are you resigning today?
Leaving home in Dundee this morning after deciding to leave office. After days of speculation about Humza Yousaf's future, it was clear what was going to happen. The media gathered outside the First Minister's official Edinburgh residence for his announcement. 13 months in office ending in a political crisis caused by his collapsing of the power-sharing agreement with the Greens.
Trust when working with the opposition is clearly fundamental. And while a route through this week's motion of no confidence was absolutely possible, I am not willing to trade my values and principles or do deals with whomever simply for retaining power.
With no way through, he said he knew he had to go.
I've concluded that repairing our relationship across the political divide can only be done with someone else at the helm. I have therefore informed the SNP's National Secretary of my intention to stand down as party leader and ask that she commences a leadership contest for my replacement as soon as possible.
And it was an emotional end as he thanked his family.
I am in absolute debt to my wonderful wife, my beautiful children, and my wider family for putting up with me over the years. I'm afraid you will be seeing a lot more of me from now. You are truly everything to me. And although, of course, as you can tell, I'm sad that my time as First Minister is ending, but I am so grateful, I'm so blessed for having the opportunity that are afforded to so few.
Calling politics a brutal business, the First Minister also confirmed he will stay on as an MSP. At the centre of all this, the Scottish Greens. They said they didn't draw any satisfaction from this, but they no longer had confidence in him.
I think that collapsing a pro-independence, progressive majority government was the wrong decision. I don't think it showed good judgment. I think it undermined our trust in him.
The Scottish Conservatives are claiming the scalp, saying they might still press their vote of no confidence in the First Minister.
And it's a mess of the SNP own making, of Humza Yousaf's own making. He took the decision to end the Butte House Agreement. I told him not to go back into it. I urged the SNP when Nicola Sturgeon resigned that they should give up the Greens in that coalition government. They have been bad for Scotland.
Humza Yousaf's time in Butte House draws to a close, but he leaves behind a divided party, with some claiming the Greens can veto any prospective leader. Andrew Kerr, reporting Scotland.
So what is next in the search to replace Humza Yousaf? Our political correspondent, Lindsay Bewes, is outside Butte House and can tell us more. So, Lindsay, what happens now?
Well, Humza Yousaf has said that he's going to stay on as First Minister until a new SNP leader can be appointed. The timetable for that process remains unknown at the moment. But as things stand, he does still face 2 votes of no confidence at the Scottish Parliament later this week. So opposition parties will still have the opportunity to give their verdict on his tenure as First Minister, a tenure that's lasted just over 12 months. But now speculation is turning to who could replace him.
Lindsay, who is likely to replace Humza Yousaf? What are the names in the frame?
Yeah, a number of names have already been mentioned, including his former leadership rival, Kate Forbes. She is being urged to stand again by her friends and allies in the Scottish Parliament and at Westminster as well. But the question is, could she command enough support across the Parliament to run a minority government? Certainly, it seems the Greens wouldn't want to work with Kate Forbes. She is not socially progressive enough as far as they're concerned. Another name being mentioned, well, John Swinney, the former SNP leader and Deputy First Minister. His name is in the mix. He has the support of the SNP Deputy Leader Keith Brown and the former Westminster leader Ian Blackford. He has not ruled out standing. He is somebody who is seen as commanding trust in opposition parties as well as on his own benches. The other names being mentioned, well, Jenny Gilruth, the Education Secretary, and Neil Gray, the Health Secretary, have also been mentioned. But it's early days and a number of other names could come to the fore as well.
Lindsay, thank you. Well, Humza Yousaf's time as First Minister has been difficult from the start. He's been in office for exactly 13 months and was seen as the continuity candidate when he was elected last March to succeed Nicola Sturgeon as SNP leader. Our political correspondent, Kirsten Campbell, looks at the events that have shaped him and his leadership.
Humza Yousaf made history when he became Scotland's youngest First Minister and the first Scots Asian to hold the role. But he's had a turbulent time in office. He'd only been in post a few days when police searched the home of his predecessor Nicola Sturgeon as part of their inquiry into the SNP's finances. He's had to ditch controversial policies like the bottle deposit return scheme, and he's lost a court battle with the UK government over gender recognition reform.
Humza Yousaf's supporters say he's shown great resilience in carrying on for so long in the face of so many challenges. His critics say he simply wasn't up to the job.
It was the Iraq War that inspired Humza Yousaf to join the SNP as a student. And during the current conflict in Gaza, he's won praise for highlighting the suffering of the Palestinian people and for showing solidarity with the Jewish community in Scotland. A career politician who's had his ups and downs, his decision to sack the Greens looks like a misjudgment that's cost him dear.
He seemed to be a conciliator, a mediator, a different kind of leader to Nicola Sturgeon. And I think that's an extra reason that this is a really disappointing end, because first on the council tax, when that was suddenly plucked out of a hat without consultation, and now with the sudden agreement, end of the Butte House agreement, those have been non-mediated, not really very conciliatory, look, I'm pretty tough, really stances. And I have to say, I wonder who's been advising him.
Humza Yousaf represented the country at the King's coronation. Soon he will submit his resignation to the monarch. Kirsten Campbell, reporting Scotland, Holyrood.
And we'll have a specially extended edition of Reporting Scotland tonight at 6:30 in light of today's events. In the meantime, you can follow this story on our live page on the BBC News website, where we'll have all the latest developments and reaction, including in-depth analysis. But for now, let's take a look at the weather with Gillian Smart.
Good afternoon to you. It's cloudy with outbreaks of rain for most of us this afternoon, though not for all of us. The far north holding on to some decent sunny spells through the rest of today. But for most, we're under the influence of this area of low pressure and its associated weather front, which is pushing northwards and bringing outbreaks of rain. Heavy at times, especially for southern and western facing upslopes. That rain accompanied by freshening south to southeasterly winds, strongest over the Northern Isles and around southwestern coasts. And unsurprisingly, with all that going on, it's on the cool side with highs of 9 to 12 Celsius. This evening, spells of rain work their way northwards through the Northern Isles, and then behind that we see clearer conditions with just a scattering of showers remaining. Temperature-wise, not as chilly as it's been in recent nights. We're holding up about 6 or 7 Celsius, so we should be frost-free as we head into tomorrow. Largely dry start, but through the day we'll see showery outbreaks of rain moving in from the south, mainly affecting western Scotland. For central and eastern parts, a good deal of dry weather and some spells of sunshine. And although it will be another breezy day, you can see it is milder, with temperatures getting into the mid-teens for many of us. Now, through Wednesday and the latter part of the week, you can see we are introducing warm air, but quite a keen easterly breeze. Now, that's going to bring areas of low cloud, mist and fog into the east coast on Wednesday. That will peg temperatures here back But in the west, with a bit of sunshine, a bit of shelter from that breeze, highs of 17 or 18 Celsius. That's the forecast.
That's all for now. We'll be back with that extended programme at 6:30 tonight. Bye-bye.